I am Ross Hawkins, Director of the Academic Advising and Transfer Center. Today, we're having a forum regarding career advising. This was an advisor forum coordinated by the Career Center. Dr. Kelly Rapp is joining us today. The title of the advisor forum is Career Advising, and it's going to feature a faculty panel on best practices. So thank you all for joining us today. Thank you in advance to Kelly and the panelists here who are going to be sharing information with us. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Kelly.
Thank you, Ross. And thank you everyone for joining. Everyone can hear me okay, right? Okay, I'm seeing some nods. I am going to share my screen. I have a brief presentation. Basically, I like to support what I'm going to say with research. I'm a researcher by nature. I have an overabundance of sources, so I'm not going to go over them and bore everybody, but I'll make this presentation available afterwards. So I can either get the list of attendees from Ross, or you can message me. I've got contact information on the last slide, but I don't want to delay getting to our panelists very much longer. We have people joining us from College of Natural and Applied Sciences. They will introduce themselves in a moment, but I wanted to just give an overview of kind of the rationale behind this forum. I'm not going to go over these slides in detail, but I know you all serve as advisors in various capacities, some as faculty and some as staff advisors. And I've got some colleagues from the Career Center here, but of course, we always feel in the Career Center that it's important to talk to students about their career development and their planning for the future. But there is also research and evidence out there that there is a growing need on behalf of the students and people who are paying for college, that they want some return on their investment. I have a series of studies. Like I said, I can send the links later as you peruse these stats, but basically students come in wanting to talk with somebody about their career paths, their career futures. A lot of research on college search habits shows that students are looking for academic programs and majors and minors, and are specifically influenced by information on salaries that they can get when they graduate. We all know that you gain a lot from just the general education of college, but I know that our admissions representatives can probably attest to the fact that parents and students are asking, well, is my student going to be employable? Am I going to get my money's worth from this institution? A couple of years ago, our marketing department with Suzanne Shaw and also the admissions team did a study partnering with Simpson Scarborough, a marketing agency, of actual prospective, MSU students. And some of that research echoes what the national trends are, that even students interested in Missouri State are ranking outcomes and connections to industry as important when considering a college, and also when talking about the value on a college. There is also other research that shows that students value their college and think that it was worth it to take out their loans more when they've had support from the university for being able to get a job. I know there's too many words on this screen. I'm not expecting everybody to read it. I just wanted to throw out there that students are wanting to be prepared. Sometimes they lack confidence in their preparation for the workforce, but different studies have shown that when students indicate that they have gotten that support from their colleges in a variety of different ways, that they do feel more confident. And the interesting thing is some of the gaps in preparation, or the gaps in confidence, or the gaps in feeling that their education was worth it, gaps by different ethnic group or financial group, the gaps narrow when that career support is provided. So I think, going along with student success, also our public affairs mission, we want to educate citizens to be able to get some upward mobility, equity, use their degree that they've gotten here at MSU for productive outcomes. Career preparation is also in some of the student success strategies and metrics to measure student success. Career preparation and career outcomes are also becoming into that conversation. So I may be preaching to the choir, but I just don't want anybody to just take my word for it. There is, evidence and trends out there that students are wanting to use their degrees for jobs. Career preparation is important. There is also evidence out there, and I hate to say it, I know I'm at the Career Center, and we offer excellent services and excellent career counseling and mentoring and getting students to help choose their career path, getting them ready for the interviews, their resumes. We have career fairs where we bring employers onto campus, but there's a lot of evidence that actually the students receive more advice, and sometimes they rank it as more helpful in terms of just navigating the career field in their major of interest from the faculty. So faculty are predominant sources of mentorship and giving that good career advice. I also recognize that faculty have a lot of other responsibilities on their plate, but it's just the evidence is showing students want that advice. They come to career centers for certain things, but a lot of students don't come to a career center despite our best efforts. But students are going to interact with faculty, and they are going to interact with their advisors. So kind of a solution to help our students be successful is to work together, advisors, faculty or staff, along with the Career Center, so that we can kind of integrate some of the job advice, career development into frontline, faculty and staff who are talking with the students perhaps more consistently than we are in the Career Center. For anyone who might not know how the Career Center works, we do have career resources specialists who are like our career advisors, career counselors, and we've aligned them with the various colleges on campus. So each college has a career resources specialist who is responsible for kind of knowing the industry, knowing the job search, knowing the employment opportunities within that college and industry. So we are aligned like that. But we also, all of our advisors, our career resources specialists also meet with students who are exploring their majors. So we know a bit, we try to know a lot. Faculty, though, who have maybe worked in the field or have connections in their field, in their industry, have maybe some more or different information than we have. So in the Career Center, we've been trying to strategically make good partnerships with our faculty colleagues so that we can share information back and forth so that we're hitting students all across the board, wherever they might, contact and have some touch point with mentoring or advice. So to that end, in our work with that, I've noticed a few different colleagues who have done a really good job of kind of proactively reaching out to the Career Center to see how we can partner. Or maybe I've noticed some colleagues who have been sharing jobs that they know about or ways that they work with students. So I thought, let's just gather a few of these and do a forum so that they can share their best practices. All three of these professors happen to be in the College of Natural and Applied Sciences. I know other colleges have best practices as well, but thought I would focus it on this college because, as Dr. Rebaza will speak about in a minute, they are also starting a kind of career development job focus with a Blackboard site for career resources for STEM majors. So I thought that's a good way. We'll talk a little bit about that. I'm going to have them introduce themselves and then we'll open it for questions. I also, when I send the PowerPoint to those who want it, I have a list of resources. We'll probably run out of time with our good discussion, hopefully. I don't want to miss this, but if anyone has additional questions, you can reach out to anyone at the Career Center. I've got my name and contact information there, as well as the panelists' contact information. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. And I'm going to turn it to the panelists. I figure I'll just go in alphabetical order. And I've asked them to be prepared to speak about a little bit of a bio on their background and their extent of their interaction with students, and a couple, like a tip on best practices, and then we'll see where the questions lead from there. So Dr. Dogweiler, will you please start us off?
Hello, excuse me. Hello, I'm Toby Dogweiler. I'm the department head and a professor in the Geography, Geology, Planning, and Geospatial Science department. And I deal a lot with both, I deal with our students on the front end when they're coming in as prospective students, either freshmen, or a lot of our majors are transfer students or change from other majors on campus. So I see them a lot at that stage. And then I also take the lead, I think, within the department on pushing out to information to students on internships, job opportunities, and other things. And I depend heavily on alumni and friends of the department that share that information with me. And I try to go a little extra than just forwarding messages out with, hey, there's a job opportunity. I try to provide context for the students and encouragement. And I always take the attitude, I always make the assumption that our students have a little bit of an insecurity. They sometimes think, well, I'm just from Missouri State, and this is this big job opportunity that's out there nationally or regionally or something. And so I sort of assume that's their starting point. I'm always trying to move them towards, no, we're from Missouri State. They should be worried, the competition should be worried about us. And I think that makes a big difference, especially when you have an audience of first-generation college students that are as predominant at our university as they are. So I'll stop there and let somebody else talk.
Yeah. So I'm Gary Meintz. I'm from the Department of Chemistry, also in CNAS, and I interact with students in a couple of primary ways from the career development side. So I've been an academic advisor since 2010, and as a part of that, I make it a point to do individual career discussion. That can be anywhere from, have you thought about graduate school, to, you know, have you written a resume and are you ready for the class that we offer as a department? You know, broad discussion with, here are some options, versus, you know, specific information if I know they are interested in a particular career path, to providing them with some options in terms of where they can look for that particular career. As a department, the chemistry department has a 1-credit course that all majors are required to take. It's Chemistry 498. We call it Chemistry Careers. And as a part of that, as Kelly mentioned, we specifically team with the Career Center to do things like resume development, personal statement writing, cover letter writing, job searching, those sorts of things that are broad skills that, you know, people like me who teach this may not have any particular skill sets in broadly developing a resume. But from our perspective, we can offer technical suggestions of wordings, of instrument familiarity, but the Career Center can suggest how to structure the resume, that sort of thing. And so in that class, we partner with the Career Center, but also we do things like make contact with alumni who are already established in their particular careers. We have discussions amongst the students about things like considering graduate school, considering an industrial chemistry job, those things that are major specific, chemistry specific to all of our students, and then, you know, go from there in terms of having lists of options of jobs that we know are advertised, those kinds of things. So those are the two primary ways that I tend to interact with students from the career side.
All right, I'll go next, I guess. Hello, everybody. This is Jorge Rebaza. I am a professor in the Department of Mathematics, and I've been here in the helping in the Dean's office since 2015 already, in several ways. My experience as faculty has been mostly advising our students on discipline-oriented goals. So what do you do with your mathematics degree, preparing them for grad school, and in a few cases for the workforce. When I started working here in the Dean's office, one of the main things that I appreciate is it has helped me understand how different departments within the same college have so very different cultures of understanding higher ed. So I can imagine the culture of understanding higher ed and student success across colleges is even more different. So I appreciate that learning process, and I guess the rest of the panelists here agree with me that most likely we don't have the answers to most of the questions here, but it's mostly a conversation, and probably we have more questions than answers. But we want to tell you briefly what we have been trying to do. So when I came to the Dean's office, and probably some of you have noticed this, in the last few years, the college has been trying to focus more and more on student success. Not that we did it before, but with more purpose, a little more intentionally to that. So the first question for us, and I hope everybody has asked themselves the same question, so what is a student success? So on that regard, as Kelly mentioned in her presentation, one of the main components is career development. Typically, especially in careers like mathematics, career development industry hasn't necessarily been a part of the picture of student success, and probably that is true not only in the math department, probably at other departments and other colleges. But career development, we believe, is a very important factor within student success. So when we meet with students, even beginning with potential students, they haven't even joined MSU yet. One of the questions that we ask is, so what are your goals? What do you plan to do with a degree on this or that? And as you can imagine, they just don't know. So just like me when I was about to start college. But on the other hand, most of our efforts, typically, not always, but typically regarding career development has been focused on seniors. So we believe that career development should begin very early, from freshman all the way to senior, without waiting for them to be about to graduate to see where they go. So we have been trying to do several initiatives towards student success, and career development is one of them, very important one. And the main thing that we realized is bullet number 4 on slide number 5 of Kelly's presentation, if anybody remembers. So here's a question for everybody. What is bullet number 4 on slide number 5 of Kelly's presentation? Kelly, can you show your screen again? Slide number 5, bullet number 4. Because that's what we are trying to do right now. That's 6. There you go. So that's what we are trying to do. So how do we engage not just the professional advisors who are already doing a great job, but everybody, so faculty, into working in partnership with the career centers? So how do we communicate better? Faculty, advisors, and the career center are already doing a great job. But if we try to see how we can improve that communication that already exists to improve what we are doing regarding career development, I think we can make a difference. So the second source, that was the first source of what we can do for career development. The second source was just by accident. And by accident, because it's, I call it by accident, it's COVID-19. So what happened here is that because of COVID-19, our annual career fair, which is done in person, last year had to be done virtually. So the employers and the students were interacting virtually, and we had to promote that event, and we didn't know how to do that. So the Career Center worked with us through Handshake, and I think we had a very good event. But how do we communicate with the students? Well, we decided to create Blackboard course if you want to, so that students can go to the Blackboard site, learn about the career fair, how to prepare for it, watch a couple of motivational videos, and hopefully encourage them to attend the career fair virtually. And it did work. It did work very well. So then we said, okay, so if this works very well for this kind of event, how about we keep it and make it a career development Blackboard course for all our STEM majors? Remember that in our college, hospitality leadership is way ahead of all other departments in career development in our college. But the rest of the departments, we're still learning. And so that's why this Blackboard site is only for STEM departments. And it's still a pilot program. We're still learning. Many things are not working great yet, but I can tell you they are working, and the students are visiting the Blackboard site with no incentives at all. There are no bonus points. There is nothing in there. It's their call, and they are using it. I'm going to stop there for a moment so that maybe people in the audience have questions. And if later there is a chance, I'd be very glad to share with you what we have on that Blackboard site. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you all for that overview. And I think the panelists touched on some important topics, but one thing I see is the role of faculty or other staff advisors, but not only two-pronged, advice, mentorship, advice, guidance. What do you want to do? Here's my experience in this field. Here's some connections that I know, but also just a source for jobs. I know that Dr. Dogweiler, you send us some jobs. You might have the connections or on different listservs and just know about things that we're still trying to learn and filter out to students. So when you learn of a job, you send it to us. We make sure it's in Handshake. For those who are listening and who might not know what Handshake is, that is our career management platform. All students at the university are automatically added to Handshake. So hopefully you all have heard of that. If not, I can answer questions offline later about it, but all students have access to it. That's how they interact with the Career Center to sign up for appointments with one of our career resources specialists, or to sign up for and learn about the career fairs, like Dr. Rebaza mentioned, but it's also how they search for jobs. So we want to make sure that we're getting jobs into Handshake. And luckily, we have actually an abundance of jobs. Our employer relations team is constantly busy approving, vetting, denying jobs, but we have hundreds of thousands of jobs throughout the year that come through our box in Handshake. And they are, like Dr. Dogweiler was saying, nationwide. So companies do want to hire MSU students. Sometimes though, that amount of information could be overwhelming for students as well. And so we like to hear from faculty if you know and have a specific, source to make it a little more tailored. So just wanted to speak on that. I don't know if Dr. Dogweiler or Dr. Meintz, if you have any tips for how you find jobs that are helpful for your students that you might want to share, then I'll see if anyone has questions.
Anytime I meet with an alum or have a contact with an alum, I always tell them one of the easiest ways they can support the department is sharing, job and internship announcements and other opportunities with us. So I get a lot that way. And then I try to write a thank you note, just a respond email back to everyone that I received to say, thank you for this. Usually I write it after I've shared this, and I tell them who I've shared it with. And just to try to let them know I appreciate it and that we're getting that information out there, so that hopefully they keep sending them to us. And when I meet somebody from any of the companies that our students tend to work for, or that they potentially could work for, I do the same things. I ask people, send me stuff. I guess that's what it boils down to.
Yeah, I would follow up with that and just say it's kitchen sink approach in a sense that we anywhere and everywhere we can find job advertisements, we try and do that. Now the downside is historically it's been fairly informal. And that's sort of, I think, what we're hoping that Jorge's website, Blackboard Site, will be able to help with, is to be a repository of options. I got someone knocking at my door, of course, in the middle of my Zoom. So it's been word of mouth. It's been word of mouth by alumni. It's been word of mouth by employers who've hired our students in the past, the job fairs, any means that we can to get announcements for different types of positions that our students would be interested in. We fire off emails and post them on our website, and tell them by individual discussion, which I freely admit is not efficient, and that's sort of what we're hoping will be improved along the way.
Yes, clearly there are connections that faculty and staff have. And so when you get all those opportunities or you learn about it, and that's why these colleagues here, send them along to the Career Center as well. And we're trying to streamline, but we have our employer relations team that also works to make sure that we have connections with the employers and that they're knowing that they can post in Handshake. And we do that outreach as well, so that hopefully we streamline the experience for students and employers that are wanting to connect with MSU. So right now, before we end up time escaping us, what questions do you all have? It's a panel, albeit a Zoom panel, which we're getting more used to these days, but either raise a hand or put in the chat. Attendees, what would you like to know? Okay, I am going to try to get ahead and anticipate a question that might be asked. But as faculty members, with your other responsibilities that you have, how do you find time for addressing the career needs of your students and giving them that advice or finding the jobs? How do you manage that? I don't want to play devil's advocate, but some people might say, well, that's, not our job or not our part, or I don't have time for that. But how do you all make that as part of your routine? Any three of you?
I guess I can jump in first. So I do a lot of it as individual advising. And so if anyone's, and I imagine the audience is here because they're academic advisors, for individual advising meetings, sort of have a checklist of things, it's got to be next semester's classes, concerns, and then career issues. And that can be broad questions. What I typically do is, where do you see yourself 5 or 10 years? And I have the caveat of, if you don't know, that's okay. Or if you think you might change your mind, that's okay. Just to reassure students that figuring out is part of what college is about. And then if they need additional information, to make sure to follow up. In addition to the meetings part, I do, and I freely admit I got this from Tracy Glaskin, that I do a student inventory of getting to know each of my individual advisees as much as possible. And a question on that is, what are your career prospects? What are your career interests? Same thing as, where do you see yourself in the future? And then just follow up as best as possible. And I freely admit, this can be time consuming. Some students have a lot of questions and don't know what they want to do. And some know very specifically what they want to do, and just to try and help each of those students individually as possible. And as part of that, the last thing I'll say is asking open-ended questions, such as, well, what interests you? What part of chemistry is it that you find interesting? And then follow up with, well, where might that take you career-wise?
I don't think it needs to be super time consuming. It's not that, it doesn't take that long to share an email about a job or an internship and provide a little context about it. As Gary said, advising meetings are great opportunities to talk to students, and like he does, I'm a strong advocate of actually asking them proactively, not waiting for them to ask me. They rarely ask me about that, especially earlier in their student career, but when I ask them, it's almost like I've given them the green light to ask the questions that were in their mind and they were afraid to ask. And it might be about grad school or jobs or internships or just how this stuff works. And I really don't think it stops once they graduate either. We try to, in addition to sending job opportunities to Handshake, when I do that, I send the email, I copy Kelly or Dusty at the Career Center to get it into Handshake, and then I post it on our LinkedIn alumni page too. So most jobs. And the other thing I'd say, I guess maybe now I'm answering a slightly different question than Kelly answered, but I think it's a natural continuation of that, is I don't exclude freshmen when I send out a job opportunity. I know they're not qualified for it, not going to apply for it, but I try both in person and once in a while in an email, I'll point out to students, I know, I'll say it. I know some of you are not ready or at a point where you could apply for a job like this, but you should be looking at the preferred and required qualifications, because as a freshman or sophomore, you still have time to make sure you accumulate those qualifications. The seniors in the group, they kind of are where they are and don't have, they have to go into battle with the skills they've accumulated at this point. But the younger students can still find, I think, value about how to prepare themselves, and that helps focus them, I think.
I saw that we actually got some questions now. I had a private question asked and then a couple in the group chat. I think we can kind of segue. One of the questions that came to me was recommending for non-STEM colleges, like most of the other colleges, how to coordinate the career readiness activities and students when there's very different majors and career options. I know even within CNAS, there's different majors and career options. So that is a question that we all think about all the time. I mean, the Career Center here, we are a centralized career center, so we serve the whole campus, and we always struggle with, there are a lot of different industries and majors. So there are some certain tenets of career readiness, and that's a topic for another forum if needed, but on the career readiness competencies that kind of span all majors. And that's something that we can help you integrate into classes or presentations. But I think this also may address with Dr. Rebaza, if he shows the Blackboard site, he has it broken down. I mean, you have different departments like within that site. So it's not just all CNAS jobs. So say if you were in another college, like, the ARCOL, arts and letters, and there's so many different departments, there could be within the Blackboard site, like a different folder for the different majors or industry type. And this Blackboard site is, like we said, a pilot. Is kind of getting up and going, and we're trying to learn how we work with CNAS to make sure all the opportunities are in there. And if another college wanted to do it, we could talk about maybe how the Career Center could help. Do we do it by department? Is maybe industry for your college better? There's different things because there is a variety. So I guess if Dr. Rebaza shows the Blackboard site and talks a little bit about that addresses the other question. And then finally, we can talk about, Ross asked about first-gen students. So.
All right, so this is the first attempt on trying to do our best to communicate our students in STEM departments about career development. One thing you already noticed is simplicity. The least information, the most important information goes there for them. For the whole semester, only 2 announcements. The first one, welcoming and what this is about and what kind of information they will find, as you see the last few bullets. And there's only 1 additional announcement because that's our annual career fair that is coming up. No more announcements. Again, students, they have all our undergrad and grad majors are automatically registered in this Blackboard course. It's not a course, but it will show on the list of courses every semester for them. They don't get any grade. They don't have any bonus points. There's no incentives other than good information that we hope is going to be useful for them. Now, on the left panel, you will see exactly what this is about. This is about promoting career fairs, seminars and workshops. And remember, all departments have seminars and workshops every week. sometimes more than one seminar a week, mostly discipline oriented, about chemistry, about geology, about mathematics. We list here only those that are related to career development on those departments. And then of course, students are more interested in the last two links, internships and job opportunities. And they have already other sources, as the panelists were saying. It's the faculties, the department heads, and of course, it's the Career Center. But I'm gonna, before I click on any of the links, I'm gonna share with you something that happened yesterday. So yesterday, one department head in our college was asking me, so why should we post this on Blackboard when I already emailed all my students about the career opportunities and internships, and I posted on their web, on social media as well. So my answer to that was the following. Students get hundreds of emails, and most of them are generic, and they will not pay a lot of attention to a generic email. Unfortunately, we have to acknowledge that. Some of them, yes, but in reality, it's not the case. I talk to my students, even in student organizations, and they are very, very honest with me. And that's what happens. How about social media? Well, social media, students open their phones to get into social media, and they already have hundreds of notifications from everyone every hour. So why should they pay attention to one social media notification from a department? So the difference with using Blackboard is that somehow we have exclusivity on this platform. It's only us that can post things here. And students will come to this Blackboard site only if they are interested. Nobody's pushing them. We're just telling them what's there available. And the traffic, I can tell you, is actually surprising. I'm getting even more and more surprised every time. This is just a pilot program. Students are just beginning to learn that this exists, and the traffic is already very good. So in this, there is not a lot of information because we were just starting, but as you can see, simplicity in the posting. What is the event, where is it going to be, what majors should be interested in this event, who is doing the event, what this is about. If they are interested, they will go to this link and they can find all the information they want. And we include anything also related to pre-health, because remember, we have biology, chemistry, and many pre-health students in our college. Internships, a fellowship at CDC, even the College of Business Career Fair has been posted in there because many of our students have one or two relationships with those kind of career fairs. And it's several people that do these postings. I am one of them, but department heads have access to this. Some of our admin assistants have access to this one too, so they can also post. I just ask them to try to follow some kind of consistent layout. That's not always the case, but that's okay. I want to show you the next one. Seminars and workshops. Most of them are people from industry. Most of them are alumni that are coming from, and one thing that you're going to see is immediately possible majors that apply to this seminar or workshop. So if it is not their major, they will skip it quickly to the next one. They don't have to stay more than a second. They will see it immediately whether it applies to them or not. Where it is, if it is virtually, and if it is virtually, there's the Zoom link right there, as you can see, for all careers in our college. And those seminars are not only about career development, but sometimes, or very often, these presenters come and talk already about some openings on their companies. So this is the seminars and workshops. If you go to internships, and this, I am in the student view. This is what they are looking for. This one probably was just posted. I didn't even see this one yesterday. So somebody posted this one today or yesterday. It wasn't me. As you can see, they are trying to follow what I'm suggesting to tell me at least what possible majors. In this case, they say all STEM majors. Internship data engineer at Amazon. Yes, our students can apply to big jobs nationally. They have so many openings right now at Amazon for data engineers. And it's not just computer science, as you can see. many, or actually probably the majority of our math students that are not going to grad school, they are just finding jobs, are data science engineers, software engineers, even though they are not engineers. So, and you can see the pattern, right? That's something for Toby. Toby, you see that Watershed Management Research and Outreach Internship is right there. This I received from Department of Heating Chemistry. So students can go there and you see the majors that it applies to. If you are not in that major, if you are in engineering, mathematics, probably it's not for you, so skip and go to the next one. The next one is definitely chemistry, pre-pharmacy, biology, and so on. The next one, computer science, or mathematics, or engineering, and so on. So this is a very simple Blackboard site with great traffic, I would say, because one thing that we observe is how do we better communicate with the students? And I am receiving emails from students with asking for more details about it. And I see the traffic actually increasing every day through this Blackboard site. Can we improve on that? I think so. I think I still need to communicate better with our own faculty, our own department heads on how to share information so that we can all post these opportunities for our students. Students actually do like it very much because it's exclusively basically done for them, just for STEM majors, and they know what kind of majors these opportunities are related to. And can this be adapted to other colleges? I think so, but probably in a different way because different colleges have different cultures, different goals. But I think it's a great way to reach out to students because we have exclusivity on this platform. So I'm going to stop there. And also I'm going to take advantage and answer a question, the question from Ross about how can we help, in particular, first generation students. Well, this is helpful to all of our STEM students, but it's particularly helpful for first generation students because if they are not first generation, probably they have somehow an insight on how things work and where to ask and where to go. First generation students have Blackboard and they are coming to this site easily and they find it very user friendly because it's not overwhelmed with information, very simple, very quickly, and they feel comfortable using it. It is, I think, helping first generation students more than other groups probably. I'm going to stop there. If anybody has questions, I'd be glad to try to answer. The panelists here too, probably they have better answers than me.
I appreciate Gary and Toby have put answers to the first generation as well in the chat. And I think I found one of my research articles just talking about students are more confident about their preparation for the workforce when they speak often with faculty or staff about career options, or if they have at least one university official initiate a conversation with them about their career options. And also, if they believe that their school is committed to helping students find a rewarding career. So I think by all of us doing our part, reaching out, talking to those students, it helps all students. I mean, specifically, yes, first generation students, as Dr. Rebaza was alluding to, might not have the social capital of connections to industry that other students might, but that's where this kind of proactive approach could help, all students, but especially those maybe who need it the most. Also, somebody asked, just career development throughout the life cycle, these ideas about choosing majors and picking them early. Dr. Dogweiler posted in the chat that when you talk with prospective students and their parents, especially first gen or really anyone who's trying to pay for college, which is expensive, they do ask, what are the outcomes? The Career Center, we collect graduate outcomes for undergraduates every year. We send out a survey to graduating seniors and then we track them down. We are working on a structure of better disseminating those results. If any of you all want those results, you can reach out to me and I will get them to you. But yeah, communicating results helps. I was also going to say in terms of the Blackboard site, which is magnificent. I think it's a work of art. It's so organized and has a lot of good information for the students. If you're from a college and you're thinking, I have no idea what jobs exist, I don't have any connections in industry, that's where the Career Center and our model of our employer engagement and employer relations team, but also our career resources specialists that are aligned with colleges, like we can try to assist and help you. Like we know of jobs that exist out there. So if you're completely lost, you can reach out to us. We'll get you to the right place to try to help, because in some of the other colleges, it is one of our initiatives to just make sure that we have enough jobs for all the various different majors, because sometimes it's easier to just hear about jobs in certain industries than others. And Dr. Rebaza was talking about the internships. Oh, sorry, Toby, I'll let you go.
I thought you were coming to I'll wait till you're done.
You never know. I just talk. Just going to say the internships, and Gary talked about the research. All of these things are, high impact practices for student success, but also things that employers are looking for. We also have research and trends from employers as to what they look for in the college experience, and internships or other work experience, experiential learning in terms of research. It's all very important. So any info that we can get out to students about that is good as well. I saw that Lindsay Hicks asked a really good question, but I'm going to go back to Toby. You talk.
Just two things we've touched on that I wanted to follow up on. First, expanding on what Gary and I wrote about the first generation students in response to Ross's question. I just really think that's so important for first generation students, because by definition, most of us, our majors lead to some professional field, that because their families don't have college degrees, they haven't had access to that job market. So when I told my parents I was going to major in geology, they had no idea what you could do with that. They were afraid I was going to be unemployed. So I had to be prepared. My faculty members, as an undergrad, prepared me to answer that question. I said, these are the things you can do. I went home, I had that conversation. Mom and dad gave me the thumbs up. I declared the major the next week. So we have to help them with that experience. But I also wanted to comment, I know that we've focused a lot on STEM, but as the department head of one of the two departments in this college that's not completely sort of the quote unquote hard sciences, and also geography is a great example. Geography crosses over into the physical sciences, but a big part of geography is social science and humanities based. And it's one of those majors where there are very few job titles in the world that have geographer in them, but all of our geography majors are employed. And coming here, having some background in geography when I was hired into this position, but not being a geographer by training, I really had to work hard to be able to answer that question with the prospective geography students. And the way that I answer that question is I talk about some examples. I've got this sort of cadre of alumni that I use as examples. We've got one, she's a lobbyist for she's the executive director of the American Hospital Association, a lobbyist in Washington, D.C. She was a geography major, and I talk about her career path, how she got there. We've got a student who's vice president of the Springfield Chamber of Commerce. And I've just got examples like that. And I talk to them, and I've talked to those alums, and I've figured out how they got from point A, their geography major, to point D, E, F, G, their current career. And that I find helps the students and the parents. They like hearing that. They like knowing that these students, the geography students, are well prepared for a very diverse set of job options and can adapt in real time. And their first job is probably going to be different than their second, third, or fourth job. And I try to sell one of the aspects of this major that's a selling point is we're preparing you for all of that so that you can adapt to the changing job market. And I think that's true of a lot of other majors outside of our college. So I do think this applies.
Thank you. Lindsay Hicks, our new colleague counterpart from West Plains, running their career development center on her own, Yay, asked a question about if these things are posted in Handshake, the things on Dr. Rebaza's CNES site. And yes, we're working to make sure that everything that he knows about and the faculty post on there, we're having our career resources specialist aligned with CNES to kind of look at that and make sure they're posted on Handshake as well. We're probably not 100% yet because this is new, but we're trying to make sure that they get posted in both places so that students have multiple opportunities to find these jobs. But yeah, in terms of tracking the engagement with the Blackboard site, Dr. Rebaza, you mentioned that you saw the traffic to the site. You probably have some analytics. I don't know how you look about that, but you're right. If a student only sees the job on the Blackboard site and goes directly to the link, then we don't have that information. But metrics are always a moving target we're trying to get better at. So you bring up a good point, and we can talk more later about some specifics of that. But yeah, okay, Gary has put some stuff in the chat. Anyone else have any questions while we just have a few minutes left? Or Jorge, you have some advice, or you unmuted?
No, I was just about to say yes. This is just still a pilot program, but I think it's working very well. We will definitely in the future look at how to track activity more closely. Right now, the only thing we do is just go to the evaluation link on Blackboard and see how many days has it been since this student has seen the website and has been moving around. But from what I have understood when talking with computer services, in the future, yes, they can pull out some data from there for us, whatever we are interested in. So that's coming up in the future, definitely. Just one final remark, at least for STEM, this is very true. We make strong efforts trying to involve our students, especially undergrads, in research, because when they apply for grad school, if they have research experiences, well, that is a very big bullet in their resume. Most likely they will not only be accepted into grad school, but to a very good grad school. Well, the same way, I believe student work and internship opportunities are becoming also one very important factor when students apply not only for jobs, but even for grad schools. So again, this career development, I believe it's a very important factor of student success. And this is the angle we should see from student success, because I believe we all here in this event, at least that is one thing that we agree. I think we all would like to do more for student success.
Can I follow up quick, Kelly? Okay, so just want to briefly summarize verbally what I put in the chat, and it's following up on something Toby said about using alumni. That if anything good has come out of Zoom that I have found personally is you can gather people from all across the country, the world at one time to have a discussion. And I did that in our careers class with several alumni and several different panels that allowed students in the class to ask questions and get concrete information and advice from recent peers and of similar age. And it sort of takes away that barrier a bit, both from age and experience that sometimes professors and students have. These are people very similar age that have gone on to be successful in a variety of careers or degree programs or whatever. And it works so well. So much useful information. I think the students and the alumni both really found it rewarding. And so as at all possible, that's something that should translate to different departments as well, to be able to gather people in a virtual space to be able to discuss this.
Yes, it seems like we're ending time. I don't know if Ross wanted to make a follow-up, but I just want to thank everybody for attending, and thank you panelists for your good information. As with every advisor forum, I'm sure we could go on forever. Yay, Margie, our Associate Director of Employer Engagement, just put in the chat. We are having a mock interview day. The Career Center helps prepare, students on a lot of the actual being competitive for the jobs, practicing the interviews and the resumes. And we appreciate our partnerships with the faculty and other advisors in terms of that advice and helping us find jobs and alumni. So just remember, you can reach out to any of us with questions, contact the Career Center if you want, specific ideas or help for your college that you're in. I will add some of these tips I've been taking notes on into my PowerPoint presentation. I'll send it to Laura, maybe to send out, Laura or Ross to send out to the list if they're up for it. So you can, read the extra research on your free time if that's what you find fun. So thank you, Ross.
Yeah. Thanks, Kelly, and thanks to the panelists. I really appreciate all the information that you shared today and the answers, not only, but also using the chat feature. That was really cool. So thank you for that. As a reminder, this advisor forum has been recorded and will be posted on the Mo State Advising YouTube channel within the next couple days. So if you know of colleagues who would benefit from this advisor forum, please refer them to the Mo State Advising YouTube channel. And as a reminder, again, they can receive credit for watching the YouTube recording of the advisor forum. Again, next Wednesday is our Avoiding Compassion Fatigue and Practicing Self-Care and Well-Being. So I hope I see many of you at the advisor forum next Wednesday at noon. Thanks again, participants, for being here, and for Kelly and the panelists. Bye.